Hey guys, so today I want to talk a little bit about marketing yourself as a musician and as a freelancer and as someone starting out in music, because it's really hard to become established. That's part of the difficulty of being a professional musician. But with a lot of social media and the things that exist now, it's a little bit easier, but it's also a lot more complicated. A lot of you guys are graduating and you're going off to your next degree, or you're going off into the real world, or some combination of the two. And that's a scary thing, and it means that you really do have to think about what you're doing, how you're marketing yourself, and honestly, marketing and creating a professional persona and a professional identity is important even before you graduate. If you have that already established, it's a lot easier to go into the real world. And that's something that I learned very quickly out of my master's, that I didn't really have anything established, and it was a lot harder to figure out what I was doing. So, I know that a lot of you guys don't necessarily know what you want to do yet, but you want to be a musician, presumably, and you then have to market yourself that way. I think having a website is a really important thing, especially with websites like Squarespace and Wix, and actually GoDaddy has their own builder now too. It's really easy to make websites. You don't have to know any coding. You don't really have to know anything about what you're doing. You can just design it using their models and put in all the information that you want to. It's really easy to create a website that just has a homepage, an about page, contacts, events, and then maybe some links to your media and photos and stuff like that. And that's really a great start. As you get more established and as you do more, you can expand it, you can add a lessons page and all that stuff. But to start, it's really great to have a web presence, so someone Googles your name, whatever instrument you play, and that comes up. That means that you're a legitimate person. Despite the fact that it's a self-made website, it still kind of establishes you as a real person. The other thing is a Facebook artist page, and I know anyone who's heard me talk about this knows how much I hate having a Facebook artist page. I really do not enjoy having it, but it's also really important for sharing things with a different audience. Your websites tend to be static. You update them occasionally with events and things like that, but they're not as active. You can't really engage as much because it's a website. It doesn't have that social forum. As much as a lot of us are trying to pull away from Facebook, it's an unfortunate reality that we do have to still use it until something else comes along, and I don't think it is anytime soon because of how established Facebook has become in our society. It's really where all of the events and the gigs that I'm playing are advertised, and it's where a lot of people go to find out what I'm doing, because I'm updating it more actively and it's something that's real time, at least in feel. You can schedule posts, which makes it a lot easier, and you can share other people's events and pin them to your page. There's a lot of ways to make it a little bit easier on you, and you don't have to constantly post on it. You're not expected to post on it like it's a personal page, but when you have something to share, it's a good venue to share it on. That's also where Instagram and YouTube and all of these other social medias tie in. They help you create content for the other platforms. I like to post little clips on Instagram of things I'm posting on YouTube. When I was doing 52 Weeks, I would post a sneak peek of whatever piece it was on Instagram, share it to my Facebook page, and then I would post the actual video on YouTube, share that to my Facebook page. So it's all a big circle of things that are posting to each other. And a lot of people got kind of annoyed when you post the same content, so you do have to kind of figure out what things are going on Instagram, what things go on YouTube, what things go on Facebook. Are there things that I'm going to share between it? Big things and big events, obviously you want to blast on every platform you possibly can, because that reaches the widest audience. But some of the things that I post on Instagram, I don't need to post on Facebook as well. It's just a photo of me with pretty makeup and a flute. Like, that doesn't need to go anywhere except Instagram, because that's what Instagram is for me. Having an idea of what each platform is for, and that's different for everyone, is an important thing in creating this web of social media. And I'm not the best at this. I'm not gonna say that I'm a social media expert. I just have spent a lot of time on the internet and have kind of figured out how I like to use it and what works for me. And some of it isn't enjoyable for me. Those of you who know me know I started out in Tumblr, and I still use Tumblr occasionally, but I don't find it as fun or as engaging as I used to. And so I've kind of pulled away from that one, and I've started using Instagram more, I've started using YouTube more, and I've kind of shifted my focus. I'm still on Tumblr and I still enjoy it, but it's not really as primary to my life as it used to be, and that's fine. But it's something that I had to think about and rationalize and figure out where it was going to fit into my web of social medias once I move past it, or at least move forward from it. I don't think I've moved past it yet necessarily. And then there's YouTube. And while YouTube is an amazing platform, and obviously I've done a lot with it, I think I'm still trying to figure out and how I can balance it as promotion for other things and creation that promotes the things that I do elsewhere. So obviously I make these videos and I'm making content, and that's a primary thing, but it also can feed into my marketing and using it for other things. Quite honestly, the 365 was in part a way to get myself noticed, to get composers interested in working with me, to get people in Chicago interested in working with me, and to create a sense of, I'm a serious musician who knows what they're doing and can do this, so then you should hire me for other things. And that wasn't entirely successful, and that's fine. That wasn't really the idea necessarily. It was just kind of a thing that I thought would help. But it did also kickstart a lot of other ideas, and we've talked about that a lot. But it was a way to create content here that I could use elsewhere. I've used a lot of those recordings for applications, for things on my website, obviously, and I've used a lot of those pieces for programs later that I wanted to apply for. So using those projects to launch into other things has also helped a lot. So it's a lot of finding ways to take what you're already doing and make it bigger, or make it work for what you want to do. And I've also found that word of mouth is a huge, huge marketing tool. And I know this is a cliche and everyone talks about this, but who you know is important, and who likes you and respects you as a musician is important. And making a good impression on people, even when you're not playing with them, is important. I think probably 80% of the really interesting, exciting gigs that I've gotten in Chicago, especially in the last year, haven't been with people that I've worked with musically until they hired me. They were with people that I talked to at concerts, or that had a friend recommend me to them. Like, they were all word of mouth connection type gigs. Those are hard to come by, obviously, because everyone has word of mouth and everyone has friends, but those are the ones that I think were the most rewarding in terms of my musical experience. And that means that there's something to be said there, that the people that are recommending me are recommending me to the stuff that I really want to be doing. So I'm surrounding myself with people that know who I am, know what I want to do, know what I can do, and are helping me find opportunities that are in that realm. So yeah, I think it's all about building networks, obviously, and we are lucky that there's the internet, and that helps us build wider networks than we would be able to without it. But it also means, as I said, that it's more complicated because you have so many variables and so many platforms, and there's so many things that you can be using or should be using. Like, I don't use Twitter personally, but a lot of people do. And there's certain things that other people do that I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that, but I don't really want to. So finding your own balance of different platforms and sharing and creation is important, and something that's worthwhile thinking about before you leave school, because it's very, very hard to build all that while also trying to survive. And at least while you're in school, you have the stability of being in school. Like, you're not necessarily having to rely on a day job to pay your rent and everything like that. Like, a lot of people do, and I understand that that makes it more difficult. So this isn't like a you don't have to pay rent kind of thing, but it's definitely a safer environment to start building this stuff, because some of you even have music entrepreneurship classes in school. So there's places and reasons to learn about this and explore this before you get out into the real world and suddenly you have a 40-hour-a-week job and you're practicing and you have a social life and you're trying to figure out how to build a website. So yeah, I hope this was helpful in some way. It was a little bit rambly, but that's how all my videos are. I really should stop apologizing for this. I do want to say a huge, huge thank you for 1,000 subscribers. It's an amazing thing, and I never really thought I was gonna get there, so thank you so much. If you like this video, give it a like. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you want to support me more, check out my Patreon, and I'll see you guys next week.